Good afternoon. Hey, this is Trish with Hip Homeschool Moms, and I am here with Rachel and Davis Carmen. They are the owners of Apologia. Thanks so much for being here, guys.
Thanks for having us.
And they are the thought leaders behind starting the Homeschool Teacher Appreciation Movement. And we totally appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. That was something that I think was needed. And nobody just thought about it. So see, your brilliance is shining every time we turn around.
Thank you, David.
Though that would be Rachel. It was Rachel's idea. And like most ideas that she comes with, she tells me, I think it's great. And then she says, and can we make it happen in 3 weeks? I'm like, sure.
Well, you did a great job. This is the second annual.
This is the third one.
Third one. Yeah, we were involved in 2. So see, it's only 2 for me. It's our second.
Yeah, we actually did the first in September when we came back from a beach trip in August of 2014. And like I say, she said, make it happen in 3 weeks, which we did. But then we did the second one in 2015, and we picked a different date in April. And then that date seems to be sticking right now.
And you picked it for the same time as the conference. We need to look at that next year when all the conferences are. Yes. Wow, that was a crazy week. Y'all, Rachel, you doing okay?
Yeah, I've had a great day today, just relaxing and studying. So it's been a good day.
Yay. Wow. Yeah, it's been crazy for a lot of people. I know poor Michelle and Pat. Pat's out there somewhere. I don't know if Michelle's on, but hey, Pat, we see you. So
I think she said she's been on the blabs all day down at the bottom.
Yes, she has.
She's the Apologia world.
It's been
we have a great team at Apologia. Very grateful.
You do.
That's true.
You do. Totally. So, and they're very dedicated. They love you guys for sure.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we have lots and lots of questions, and these are real questions, y'all. These are questions from folks that were in the community that truly, really want inspiration and guidance from you guys. So why should we listen to you? Right? I need y'all to introduce yourselves. I need you to tell your story. So tell us about Rachel and Davis Carmen.
Rachel, you go first.
So I'm just a homeschool mom that didn't want to homeschool and is now in her 20th year. So I thought that homeschooling was crazy and only really strange, weird people did it. And then God radically invaded our circumstance and called us into it with our oldest son. And now, like, we're finishing up our 20th year. It's just really remarkable what God has done. I'm so grateful for this journey that I never would have chosen on my own. I love it when God invades our lives and radically changes them and draws us closer to him and grows us in the meantime. And that's really what he's done. And even, I'm just going to preempt the questions that we'll get to in a minute. It's just a God thing. I mean, God has been very kind and gracious and faithful to us. And I'm happy to share our story, but I mean, it is God over and over and over. And I continue to be so grateful and so amazed at what he's done.
I'm 100% agree. So Davis, what have you got to add to that? Were you worried about the weird homeschooler, unsocialized homeschooler image?
It's his fault. No, it was
he's the one that wanted to be weird. I know.
I was the one that made this crazy suggestion to us. But I did, couch it in spiritual terms. I said, honey, we've been praying about Charles's teacher all summer long, and I think we've been praying about you. What do you think about homeschooling?
Oh.
And that started the journey. But it was the 2x4 over the head, as like Rachel said. It was nowhere on our radar screen other than we had observed homeschooling families, and we thought they were
weird. You thought they were weird, though.
They were normal families.
Davis, we still know some of those people. We might not want to say that.
We do. They're probably even then I thought they were fairly normal people. I just thought it was a crazy decision. I mean, come on, the bus takes them away and you get, to have your life for part of the day, and then they bring the kids back and the work begins again. So, we certainly didn't understand the concept. And so that first year was very rocky. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't have a clue. Although we did call the 3 people that we knew who homeschooled and said, what do we do? And of course, they gave us wise advice, literally just said, sit down, relax, and read to the kids. Yeah. And of course, we said, okay, that's fine. I feel a little calmer. But seriously, I mean, what do we really do on Monday? And, we had the same experience that many families have when they get started, and just something happens to get you started, but it's far from the reasons we're continuing. And like Rachel said, we're 20 years into this adventure of a lifetime that has radically changed our marriage, our parenting, everything about our home and our family in a way that we could have never made happen on our own. And we're just so thankful for God's grace to gently and even in a tough way lead us down this journey to get started.
And thank goodness y'all are obedient. You
could have ignored it. It's really amazing because I really look back at it, and Trish, I really feel like it was just completely a work of the Holy Spirit. I mean, I told someone the other day that it was a moment of weakness in which I agreed to start. Davis must have looked incredibly handsome across, the island in the kitchen when he said,
I've seen that picture of him when he was in college with the car.
Well, yeah, and I just totally fell for that apparently. But God has been so in it, and I think that's why I'm so passionate about it, is because it's not about what we do or have done. It's about getting to see God do things that only He can do. And getting to see Him do things it's addictive. I mean, you want other people to be able to come and see God this way. I mean, I think so many of us, so many Christians, we do the Christian thing and we read the Bible, we go to church, and we might see Him do something every now and then, but we're so daggum competent. We don't see Him a lot because, we don't need Him a lot.
That's right.
But at old school, you so desperately need Him. And He shows up so consistently and so amazingly that you just are like waiting for the next time when you can't, and He's going to do something amazing. So I don't know if I don't know. It's kind of a strange thing. People think that after 20 years we would have all of these answers, and my answer is it's a God thing.
Oh yeah, we completely still rely on God for all the results. I think we've gotten used to that. At the beginning, we were holding on tightly, trying to make it all work by ourselves. And, the classic example, our first was late reading. And so we panicked and, tried to change everything to make it work. And of course, everybody's just crying all the time. Yeah. And then when we had one of our other kids was slow in reading, relatively speaking, and we didn't panic at all. We knew they'd read when they were ready. And, it's just part of getting used to walking by faith and relying on God for the results. But 20 years later, we have 4 graduates. Our 4th child out of 7 graduates this year. So it is possible you can actually graduate your children. We're starting to feel like, where are they all going? But it's we're grateful to have been homeschooling, but just watching our kids as they've left the house, we realize all the more, like Rachel said, that this is a God thing working in their life, working in our life. We're just, in some ways, a small part of the process for our kids, where God is the biggest part.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's evident y'all have the luxury of having children that have graduated and have gone on and are starting to start their lives and have grandchildren, etc. So now you get to see, this is almost like, the luxury of hindsight. You get to look back and go, yep, this worked, that worked, yep. But I know it's all God, but at the same time, y'all implemented and y'all were obedient. So there's two parts to this story. God leads, but we have to follow. So, it's amazing. The things I love the story. Can I divert for 1 second and get y'all to talk about your son that was getting ready to go to school to be a doctor, and all of a sudden everything went crazy, because it's a great story about how things change.
Yeah. So, our second son had some incredible opportunities to interact with, just the providential part of homeschooling just blows my mind. So Davis just happens to have a cousin who co-owns a animation studio in Dallas, Texas. Just happens. And Anderson got to go and spend some time with him and got to investigate some animation and work with some software and everything. But even during that period of time, he was thinking about, being a doctor or being a zoologist. All this time he's spending animating in our basement, but, he's a zoologist. And one day, I can tell you which stair I was standing on in our garage. And he said, Mom, I really think I want to go into art. And I said, I know. And he was like, whoa, wait, how long have you known? And I'm like, dude, that's all you do.
Yeah.
And I think it's letting our kids go and do who God's created them to do. I think it's really easy to start tracking them to do something that we have defined as successful and would validate our homeschool journey. And it's not about that. And encouraging him to go and be the artist that God has called him to be and use the talents that God has given him in a really dark part of our culture. I mean, art's been taken over by the enemy, basically.
For sure.
And yet God is the original artist. He's the original creator. And to have him in that place, it's remarkable what God has done. But I think that's part of our journey is not being afraid of what God calls them to, because sometimes it's scary.
And sometimes it's totally unexpected and something that you would not have necessarily chose yourself for them.
Right. Yeah.
And giving up that, that to me would have been scary. And ironically, we're talking to the people that don't apology of science curriculum, right? And there's science kids going off to art school, but there's redemption here for that child. He's been doing artwork now for Apologia, right?
Yes, it all comes around. It works good. Yeah.
It did. That's amazing. What a fantastic story. So go ahead.
I was just saying, it's just amazing what God does. It's just completely unexpected.
So is it okay if I ask some of these questions that we have, because there's a ton of them? And one of the things that I personally want to ask you, and I'm going to ask this later tonight because we actually have a second conversation with these folks. You're getting to see them as the day progresses, and we're going to talk to them again tonight at 10 o'clock your time. So we're going to see how fresh and beautiful they are then, right?
We'll have different clothes on then.
Yeah, are you going to take a nap? Yeah, we're going to find out if they take naps. We'll find out their real story, right? But so I'm going to ask this evening as well, but I really want to know this. How do y'all not get burned out? Y'all have been doing this a long time, through a lot of kids, through a lot of circumstances, through, the story about how Davis ended up with Apology. I mean, y'all have been through so much. So how do you avoid the burnout?
Davis, you want to go first?
Avoiding the burnout. Wow. Well, I'll say the first year we were literally doing this 1 year at a time.
Yeah.
And it would have been very easy. Matter of fact, we were, I'll say, close to being done after that first year. We went to a homeschool conference, mainly as a getaway for the weekend. And
he's just telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Go ahead.
That's the truth. And went into some workshops, listened to a gentleman named Chris Davis of the Elijah Company back then. And he started talking about lighting a fire instead of filling a bucket, and concepts like that literally rocked our world. And it's like a light bulb turned on. And I remember driving back 90 minutes from that conference as we were going home, just talking about how homeschooling changes everything.
It does.
And so we said, let's try and wipe the slate clean for the second year. And so we went to that second year. I'll say unintentionally persevering to that second year, but there was this new sense of possibility and excitement and motivation. So we did that second year, still a little rocky. We're still, pretty low on the learning curve, but we're making some progress. Went to the conference again after that second year, just filled our brains with all these workshops, listened to cassette tapes back then.
Oh, yeah.
And in my bookshelf, I was actually looking before we got on, I got a bookshelf full of, cassette tapes from workshops back in the mid to late 90s. Anyways, by the end of that third year, that's when we were committed. We even talked maybe briefly about high school, which seemed so far away at that time. But it was about that third year where we said, this is what we're doing. This is now our lifestyle. And there was a level of knowing what the possibilities could be. They were going to be so much better than any other option that's a large part of what got us to persevere and not give up that first 5, 6, 7 year time period.
So like she was asking about burnout. I mean, I think what you just said is important to know. I think one of the keys for us surviving burnout is Davis is really, really good about taking us on regular dates and prioritizing our relationship together. That's a huge thing. It saddens my heart when I hear homeschool moms are either unwilling to go on a date with their husband because they don't want to leave their little ones with someone else, or when I hear of a husband who doesn't get how important that would be. Mm-hmm. So I think regular dates have been huge. Another thing that Davis has always been really, really good about from the beginning has been giving me time to plan every week. Mm-hmm. I have to say, I really think, and I think I'm speaking for most moms out there, a little bit of time goes a really long way. If we can have a couple of hours just face-to-face with our man and a couple of 3 hours to plan for the week to just get sort of our mind around it, I mean, we can do the week. But I mean, I'm speaking broadly, but right. I think place in a week, and I don't know which end is up, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I felt behind last week, and oh my goodness, I've got somebody throwing up too. I just want to run and scream from the building. Yep. But when I've got 2 or 3 hours, and I'm going to say it, alone in the house, like take the kids to the park, go run around. They've got enough energy.
That's right.
Go run around. Play in the driveway, go on a hike, but just giving the mom those 2 or 3 hours of just mental, just blank time when she can think about it, she's good to go for the week. And so Davis always gave me that time on a Sunday night. Mm-hmm. I don't know that it matters when as much as that it happens. Mm-hmm. And I really think that those two things really helped us with burnout. Another thing that I would say is I tend to be easily amused and just about as easily bored. So, it kind of serves me well as a homeschool mom. I'm very eclectic in my homeschooling, and I think for Davis to be supportive of my wanting to do something radically different this year from last year, I think that helps me too, because then I don't feel so locked in. And I think that could set in if I felt like I was stuck with the same curriculum for 20 years.
Oh my God. And it wouldn't work anyway because every child's different. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. In the beginning, I thought that's what I would do. And I do think that would be terrifying. So that's what we've done. That's what's helped.
Well, and to add to the curriculum piece, we've been homeschooling 20 years now. So we actually have a pretty decent idea of what works and doesn't work with each of our kids. And they're older. But the first 10 years, we were learning which curriculum would work with one kid.
That's right.
Being planners, we'd find one that would work with maybe our first or second. And we thought, perfect, this will work for all 7. And then suddenly it doesn't work quite so good for the third and doesn't work at all for the fourth. And so you got to remember each kid is very different. Mm-hmm. And so something I like to just, frankly remind people in the first 5 years, plan on wasting $500 a year on some curriculum. Maybe not every year, but you're not going to hit a home run every time. And when you don't, get rid of it, resell it at a homeschool, resale place, and get the next one that you think might work. You don't have to go through the whole year. And you'll get your
money back. They actually hold their value quait well, so it will be fine.
Even using one curriculum, I remember a curriculum that really worked well for me as a teacher, and I was familiar with it, but I could morph it for all the different kids. So again, even if there's one that you really like, just exercising your freedom and being able to say, okay, this student isn't going to be able to do it this way, but we can still use it. We're just going to have to change this about it. And I think it's just walking in that freedom is a key to burnout, because I think you can really burn out fast. Go up in smoke if you feel like you're stuck.
Well, y'all said something, and I want to circle back around. Y'all both have mentioned 3 to 5 years, 110, but that 3 to 5 years, I think that a lot of homeschool moms get frustrated and burned out, and have really, really, really high expectations that first year, and sometimes don't come back because they felt like they failed. And in reality, they are still learning the ropes. What do you say to that first year, second year homeschool mom who still feels like she doesn't have her sea legs yet? What do y'all say to her?
First of all, I'd say breathe.
Yeah. And pray. Breathe and pray.
I was at a conference, I think it was sometime last year, and it's not a new question, but I really have to really exercise self-control, because before I even tell you what the question is, I'm going to tell you that I want to laugh, which would be cruel, because the mother that's asking this question is dead on serious.
Yeah.
So the question that I was asked is, what grammar curriculum did I recommend? And I said, well, what are you trying to achieve, and how old is the student? And her student was 4.
Oh, yeah.
So my heart was grieved.
Yeah.
At the same time, she wasn't kidding. But I was just like, honey, we don't need to be working on grammar placement. I don't care how well read your student is. That, I think so many of the moms, when they come to do homeschooling, they immediately think that their child has to be multilingual and has to know where every river is on the map on the globe, and has to be able to read by the time they're 3.5, and needs to be able to dissect a frog by their 9th birthday. We put all this stuff on ourselves because we're homeschoolers. And the reality is, people do have higher expectations of us because we're homeschoolers.
That's right.
They do not quiz. The grandparents do not quiz the public school kids or the private kids.
I wish they did. I totally wish they did. Let's have a debate.
They always do. It is the way it is. But I think that one of the best gifts that we can give to ourselves, and Davis is going to laugh at me saying this, we tend to be hard on ourselves. And we've got to I have to continually seek what God needs for this kid, what God needs for that kid, pull back, give myself permission to pull back, give my permission to skip something and just go forward. And I just think it's easy for us to get caught up in somebody else's expectations.
I need the hallelujah button. Really going on that one. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I just think it's just got to be, okay. So for Charles is 25 now. He's married, graduated from college. Praise the Lord. And father of our first granddaughter. Is going this fall to pursue a master's degree. And his mother is the most surprised person on the planet. When Charles was younger, I would cry out to the Lord, literally on my hands and face, just crying out to the Lord, going, God, I don't know what to do. I don't even know where to start between the character issues and the curriculum, and I need you. And so crying out to the Lord with every kid, I remember God literally in the middle of the night gave me an idea to help Charles learn to read that was not in any manual, it wasn't anywhere. But I just kept crying and crying out to the Lord, and he gave me this idea. And you know what? It worked for Charles. So I think going before the Lord with each child, because he knows them better than he wove them together inside of our womb.
That's right.
He knows them better than we do. And so seeking him for each child, I really think that that's key.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, something I'll say, this is coming from a dad who's a mathematician and likes numbers and stats. So the guys out here might really enjoy this, but I think the moms will appreciate it. There's real statistics in North Carolina, where we're from, that show that after the first year of homeschooling, 20% of that group will quit for a variety of reasons. After the second year, that same group, another 20% will drop out. After the third year, another 10%, and after the fourth year, about 5%, and it levels off. So the moral of this story is that if you can make it to the third or fourth year, and only about half of the people will, you're in the club.
That's right.
So sometimes it's about just persevering, not giving up, not letting burnout, you kill it for you, not losing the motivation and seeing the bigger picture down the road. Right. But it can take a long 3 or 4 years to get there. And then suddenly you'll go, wow, I am totally committed. I'm never going to consider anything else, because this is literally the ideal way to not only educate your kids, but to disciple them, to raise them, and to run a family.
That's right.
But you know
what?
I can give away the secret to homeschooling here, and I don't know what time we're at, but I'm going to cut to the chase. The secret to homeschooling is not any particular curriculum. It's not a schedule. It's not a certain number of kids. The secret to homeschooling is prayerful perseverance. It's not giving up when things get hard. It's not throwing in the towel. It's not running from the building. It's literally putting one foot in front of the other and trusting his faithfulness and being obedient and loving your kids and loving God. I mean, it's not as complicated, I think, as we try to make it. But I do think that it's just about keeping on. And we need each other to encourage each other. That's why I think conferences are so great. We need to come together. It's not just supposed to be a screen relationship. It's supposed to be beyond that. The screen, I think, is to support that, but it's not supposed to be a substitute for actually coming together and giving each other a hug. But we need each other, but we need to prayerfully persevere.
I agree.
Well, and that's another reason why we're doing this whole day, this Homeschool Teacher Appreciation Day, because this is hard work. It's a huge sacrifice, and yet the potential harvest of good fruit is so beautiful that we want to encourage moms and dads to enjoy this journey, celebrate what's happening, persevere through the trials, but we want to make sure that the moms and dads truly feel appreciated, because sometimes the kids, they're not going to do that when they're 7 years old and say, "Hey, Mom, thanks for giving up your life to homeschool me."
That's right.
When they're 27, if you're lucky, but it's hard when you're in the trenches.
There's something else that I wanted to say. Once that 4th and 5th year that you were talking about, it starts all over again once you get to high school, because we get so intimidated about those. We're prepping them for college, and that's that next stage, the next transition point that we all get intimidated about. And that's my walk right now, where I'm just giving it to God and saying, okay, I know you have me here for a reason, and I'm walking this out and fill them in, because we're moving and have all kinds of stuff going on, and I feel like I never finish a curriculum, although those poor guys probably feel like that's all they ever do is curriculum. I'm a finish the book kind of girl. And all apologia, thank you very much. All these science books, I have 2 in chemistry and 1 in general science, but I'm serious. I'm like a finish the book kind of girl, and everybody I've talked to today says, we didn't finish the book. So I'm going, I know, I hear you. Okay, so I have the 2 owners of Apologia. Fess up, do y'all finish books?
No. I don't even know how hard that question is. It's not even hard for me.
Yeah.
So not only do I not regularly finish books, I have on occasion finished books. Read alouds we always finish.
Right. That's a different story.
Curriculum, we don't always finish. I mean, honey, it gets warm outside in North Carolina really early in the season, and I'm an outside sunshine, digging the dirt kind of girl, and my laundry has to just wait. I just try to get it done before it stinks too bad, because I want to be outside. So we either take the book outside or we don't finish the book. I mean, look, I think our kids actually go to the grocery store. Our kids actually work in the yard. Our kids get tree frogs in the backyard. Our son has turtles, and he caught tadpoles. And some people will be mortified to know that he fed the tadpoles to the turtles. And it was fascinating to watch. But our kids are having these experiences that you cannot put in a textbook. And I'm not going to say, don't go run outside, or don't go watch the peonies open, and don't weed with me and tell the difference, and don't help me plant the garden, because we have another chapter to do. I just can't believe for a moment that any of that would be more important. Or the character issues, dealing with, close the book and let's talk about your relationship with your brother. I just can't believe that anything in a binding of a book is more important than any of those real life things. And in 20 years, 4 graduates, we've never missed what we haven't done. I mean, that's about God filling in the blanks. Linda asked a minute ago, she said, She's on her second year going into her third, and she asks herself every day if she's failing.
Yeah.
Me too. I really think what it is, especially early on, but it doesn't stop, especially when they all become teenagers. We have four at our house. Right. You can pray for us. Mm-hmm. Dying to yourself is not attractive, and it's not painless. And that's what I really think, like marriage is an act of sanctification. Anybody who's married knows that. Yep. Having children is a process of sanctification, and homeschooling just takes it a lot deeper. And that's what I think the enemy wants to come and tell you you're failing. He wants to tell you you can't. He wants to tell you you're wasting your time and you're ruining your children. And the reality is all of those things are just lies. They're just lies. And we've got to take them captive, make them obedient to the truth of Jesus Christ and his word. And the truth is we are called and we are equipped to disciple and educate our children. God did not accidentally, my kids didn't accidentally end up at my house. They were purposely sent to me, and God knew what he was doing.
That's right. No mistakes.
No mistakes. And even though sometimes I think he sent them to drive me crazy, he's not that God. He's not. He is the God that sends mercifully these children to me to grow me and to glorify himself. So we feel like we're failing. We're not failing God as long as we're faithful. And this process it's just not painless, and it's just not easy. But he is faithful, and he is good, and he's always with us, and he redeems all of our mistakes and failures.
So true. So very true. I've got bad feedback, so I'm going to pull this off my ear so I don't hear myself talking. So, Davis, did you want to add anything to that? Nothing?
No, I'll pass on that one. I got plenty of other things to say.
Okay, well, share. Talk.
Oh, yeah. Let me go. There was a lot of chat going on. Let me go back to something that was said. Oh, yeah, high school. High school. That was the subject that I wanted to comment on. Of course, our oldest graduated from high school in 2009. So 4 years prior to that, after homeschooling for, about 12, well, no, I guess it would be 8 years at that point, I found myself starting to go to the homeschool support group meetings all over again to find out, how do we do this high school thing?
Oh, man.
And like you said, it really did feel like a whole new section to this homeschool journey. And there was a brand new set of learning, trying to figure it out. The key that I pulled away from that time that I continue to think about as we do it now is plan the 4 years for your kids' high school journey before you're there. Mm-hmm. And then try and just work that plan. Now, there'll always be adjustments where maybe you have a plan for 4 years of Spanish, and for some reason 2 years into it, they can't stand it and they want to do French. Well, you can make the adjustment, or maybe even not do one of those years. But now the second key, the first is to plan all 4 years before you start it. The second is to try and have some discussions about what are you aiming for. Mm-hmm. If you're aiming for college, well, that defines a certain kind of 4 year plan for high school. If you're aiming for vocational school, that's aiming for a different 4 year plan. If you're aiming for work immediately after high school, that's a different 4 year plan. And if you have a special needs child, that's a completely different 4 year plan. Yep. So you're really trying to say, okay, after these 4 years of high school, where are we trying to get to? And then backtrack to what does that mean we should try and accomplish in these 4 years. And if you do that before the 9th grade year, then you at least have some kind of plan that also helps fill in that transcript before you get there. So
Yes. And that's actually, if you know the college, some people, their children are going to go to their alma mater or whatever. And so if you go to the college and figure out what they expect, that's exactly what we did. We backed into it that way, was to see what they needed and then work that plan. So
exactly. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah, but high school is a whole different animal, y'all, and it gets scary all over again. I'm right there with y'all, and I don't have the luxury of hindsight. I don't have 4 that have already graduated that I can look at and go, look, see, they really do turn out great. I'm still over here going, are they going to turn out okay? Are they going to turn out okay? And you get you get it all fresh again. It feels like, I can totally identify with the moms out there that we meet at the conferences and in the community where they're scared to death. And I totally get it. Totally get it.
Well, and it's something I got to add here that Rachel and I talk about often among ourselves. If you've homeschooled during your elementary years and probably had a pretty good experience because kids are young, you get to do fun activities.
Yes.
And maybe there's some learning curve where it's difficult, but it's fun. And now you're about to enter high school. Why would you quit homeschooling at that point? Don't let the fear of, an official, real diploma change this fantastic opportunity to spend time with your young adults, to protect them from craziness that happens in the other options, for schooling. And it just really breaks our heart when we see people quit before high school, and especially quit with 1 or 2 years left.
I know. I know. It is. It's
in high school. If you've had all this amazing training that you've done, and then you have these conversations that are just remarkable because you're starting to apply everything that you've been talking about biblically from a worldview perspective. It's all starting to sort of like come together. And then you have these literature discussions and these philosophical discussions and these debates. It's such a fabulous time. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I agree. And that's actually one of the things, when they were little, I used to say I was addicted to the aha moments. Now I'm addicted to those conversations. I'm addicted to hearing their thoughts and how they process things and hearing that to me is confirmation a little bit that we've taught them to think. They don't necessarily know everything, but they know how to think. They know how to process.
Exactly.
So, I love that. Yeah, I agree, Davis. Don't give up. Right there is the time to not give up. And I love that question. What are you aiming for? That's great perspective for moms out there, especially younger moms that haven't really thought about that. Not everybody is cut out to be in, Harvard or Stanford or whatever, Ivy League school you're shooting for. My kids aren't going to an Ivy League school. They're going to a Christian school here in Memphis that my husband works at. So I know exactly where they're going. That gives me the luxury of knowing exactly what I have to do for that 4-year plan. So in a way, that's a blessing, right? So it all works out.
It is. And yet we have to be open to God, again, redirecting our steps. Rachel talked about our second son. Our oldest son wanted to go to the Air Force Academy. And so if that's your game plan, it definitely defines things you're doing. Sports, Civil Air Patrol, certain classes, math and sciences, and meeting other families, your representative, other families that have gotten a commission, an appointment, and going to certain camps. Yeah. Well, when Charles went to a camp in Colorado Springs after his junior year, he came back and he was not himself. He was all quiet. We knew something was up. And we had this fateful meeting where he said, Mom, Dad, I really don't think the Air Force Academy is where I want to go after all. Oh, and of course, this is our first child. Now we've really thought we've blown the whole high school thing. With 1 year left, we don't even have a clue what we're doing now. We had it all figured out. We were just going to hope and pray for the appointment. Yeah. But God totally redirected where his call was, and as a result, that did require some changes to what we did his senior year. But God took care of it all. But boy, we felt like we were hanging on to a roller coaster ride that first time around.
I can only imagine. How crazy that was. And I may experience it yet, y'all. I think I have it all figured out, right? So God can step in. So Rachel, you keep talking about stuff and it keeps reminding me of your book. So I'm plugging your book for you. How many times do I have to tell you? It's fantastic. If y'all haven't read this yet, y'all need to grab it. Rachel gives so much wisdom in here. Look, you see all the highlights? See? Yeah. I've read it when it's all has all the highlights throughout, and I have tons of them. But yes, I totally appreciate this. This book really resonates with me, so I appreciate your wisdom. But getting back to to the point of the blab. Sorry, I had to say that. I think the encouragement comes just like we were talking about, this being the Homeschool Teacher Appreciation Day, and being committed to helping each other and being there for each other and rallying for each other. I love that y'all are doing that. I love that y'all are going to conferences and sharing your wisdom. And so many people on your staff. It's so, we've talked to Zan and Joe today. We've talked to Sherry today. We've talked to Deb today. We've talked to Vicki today. And every one of them have all graduated their children. And now they're still giving back. I love that they're so committed to homeschooling, that they're still in the trenches and helping us that are still out here. We're still trying to figure it out. So I love that. Thanks for allowing your team to be so involved and giving back to the community, because it makes a difference. It really makes a difference.
We're just so grateful. Yeah.
What's next? What do we got going on today? Tell us about the seminar. It's actually a webinar that's coming up later today. So I am registered, but I don't know what to expect. Or is that the point? We're not supposed to know.
Well, no, I can tell you a little bit about it. Matter of fact, I like telling the history of with this being the third one.
Yeah.
So these are webinars. So you're going to come, you're going to listen. I'm going to have a PowerPoint, but we got some of our best friends, Todd and Debbie Wilson. They'll both join us in the blab afterwards for a Q&A. But Todd is just a phenomenal father, husband, and speaker. So he'll be joining me. And the key is we don't overwhelm with too much information. I'll give a short 20 to 25-minute workshop. Then Todd will follow me with another 20 to 25-minute workshop. So in a matter of an hour, you're going to hear two voices, basically to encourage the homeschool moms and dads and tell you all how awesome you are. Oh. So here's the deal. The very first Homeschool Teacher Appreciation Day, my workshop title was Homeschool Teachers Are the Best. And BEST was an acronym, B-E-S-T. They stood for my 4 points. Then last year, I was, you're hip homeschool moms. I felt I was pretty hip last year. My title was Homeschool Teachers Are the Bomb.
There you go.
And those were my 4 points. This year, it's going to be a little longer seminar, or I'm going to talk less on each point, because tonight, I'm going to tell all of you all that homeschool teachers are awesome.
Oh, you got a long
acronym. So there's 7 points, for the word awesome. There'll be a mini Lego theme if you have that song running in your mind. Everything is awesome. Mm-hmm. So basically, it's to pat all these homeschool moms and dads on the back to say you really are awesome. And here's some 7 specific things to remind yourself, because like Rachel said, y'all are very hard on yourself, because the rest of the world is very hard on you and judges you and ranks you and measures you in ways that are just, almost impossible.
Yeah.
But tonight I'll tell you and remind you why everybody else in your family, your kids, your spouse, and others are very grateful and appreciative for what you're doing.
Yeah. And we appreciate that you're doing that, because that's moms need to hear that. Sometimes dads don't know what to say, and I love the fact that it's 2 dads doing it. Rachel, how'd you get this?
Yeah, isn't that awesome? I'm just so grateful that these 2 guys get it. I know that there's so many moms out there who have husbands that I say there's like tolerating that you want to homeschool, and then there's supporting. And Todd and David are examples of 2 men that actually support. And I just pray for those other men out there just to catch a vision for what this means. It's not just a pat your wife on the head. Yeah, whatever, honey. This is something this is kingdom work. This is foundation for family, and such an amazing opportunity for a husband to come alongside and for them to really do what God's called us to do as families, and really build a strong one on the foundation of Jesus Christ.
Amen. So. Well, we are looking forward to it. I can't wait to see what you have to say tonight. And I love Todd has 8 children. Is that right? The Wilsons?
I think that's right. I think that's his.
They have a lot of kids too.
I think they have a married son too. Their oldest son's married too.
Yeah, so it's going to be fascinating, and I totally appreciate that. Joe's here, and he said that he was one of those that was just barely hanging on when Zan started the homeschooling world. So it's interesting to see the flip side now, to see the dad that, is all about encouragement. So thank you so much. I can't wait to see it tonight. So what are you doing tonight, Rachel? Are you going to be, since you're not on that webinar, are you going to be napping?
All right. And then we have the pajama party at 10.
Tonight?
Yes. There's a
blab session.
It's not a blab.
Ours. Yes. I'm going, wait a minute. What's going on? I thought you were talking about after because I'm 9. Remember, we're time zone challenged over here. Leanne and I honestly, it's a miracle we showed up on any of these at the right time, y'all. It's a God thing, totally. So if y'all ever have calls scheduled with Hip Homeschool Moms and we're an hour late, you know why. I've rubbed off on her. I'm time zone challenged, and now she has it too. Sorry.
Well, I was in the YouTube session this morning with the Homeschooling Around the World. Of course, we had people from literally all over the world, so who knows what time zones were happening then.
I know. We did. We had, and we missed the Philippines. The Philippines could not join us this morning. So, but we did have, we had Russia, and I'm totally fascinated with the fact that homeschooling is so free in Russia. I mean, who would have thought that?
Isn't that amazing?
I know. I love that y'all are supporting an apology and mission. Yeah, because we had Camilla there, and so it's amazing. Thank you for the work y'all are doing. Y'all are really totally rocking. Everything that y'all touch seems to be exactly what the homeschool community needs right now. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for being who y'all are. We appreciate y'all.
It's a great opportunity.
Yeah. Okay, guys, so be sure to register. That is one thing you need to know. You have to register for the webinars tonight. Leanne has already popped that in right there. You can see Hands-On Homeschooler. That's the registration link. So be sure to register for the seminars tonight. And we will be back with Rachel and Davis after we've all had naps. I'm sure we're all taking naps this afternoon. And with Todd and his wife to have the Q&A after their seminar. So we're looking forward to it. Y'all have a great afternoon, and we will be back here in about 4 or 5 hours, something like that, to talk again. Thanks for being here, y'all. I know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.